Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Coffee with Katie. I have a Darth Vader glass that says, "I find your lack of faith disturbing," with some cold foam and cold brew, clearly. Happy 4th of July, by the way. Today is 4th of July. I have my "So Long London Had a Good Run" shirt because I think it's hilarious. I apologize if it's offensive. I just think it's really funny. And it's a Taylor Swift lyric. But happy 4th of July for America. But unrelated to that, today's video is going to be a book review on Rose in Chains by Julie Soto. I requested this audio arc from NetGalley and was approved, so NetGalley gave me this audio arc to listen to and review before the publication date, which it was cutting it a little bit close, but I did it. So I've talked about this book on this channel before, I know. This is a Hermione fanfiction that was turned into a different story, into a published work. The Hermione fanfic counterpart is The Auction, which is honestly a really dark story. It blends a lot of different elements that we'll get into with this review, but this book releases on July 8th, so it'll be here next week, and I wanted to quickly get my review up for you guys so that you would have it and be able to hear my opinions on it before you read it or as you're reading it, what have you. I'm gonna try to not be very spoilery, as I tend to do with book reviews for people that haven't read them, etc. But there may be a little bit of plot points that I will get into vaguely, just because of comparing The Auction to A Rose in Chains. Now, also bear in mind that when you read The Auction, when I read The Auction, I read it all in one go. But this series is the Evermore trilogy, so it's going to be 3 separate books. So there is, cliffhangers and things that aren't resolved, obviously. But I think you should know that going into it. So the premise of this book is that there are the Evermores and the Beaumardians. So Beaumard, Evermore. And the Evermores tend towards more mind magic. So there's 2 types of magic in this world: mind magic and heart magic. One of them is obviously towards the mind. So when you're practicing it, it's a mental thing. You can do a lot of different things with the mind magic than the heart magic. Think of mind magic as more, you can do manipulation, you can do invisibility for moments in time, just a lot more mental and what you would consider to be mind. Whereas heart is a lot more physical. And magicians can do both. So you can practice both heart and mind magic, but usually you have a focus. And that is the case with this. So the main character, Bryony, does more of the head magic, the mental magic, mind magic. And the other main character, Tovin, is a Beaumardy, so he does more heart magic. Bryony is an Evermore princess, so she is, not necessarily heir, but she is a princess of the Evermores, so she's obviously very high ranking in society, and she has a brother named Rory, and he's like the prince, and he's the one that's the heir, the one that's slated to take over. He's also what they think he's the chosen one in this prophecy to save them and unite the warring kingdoms. But, and this is the whole premise of the book, like it's in the synopsis, he dies, and so he's like the chosen one, the hero that's meant to save everybody and bring peace to these 2 warring kingdoms. And he dies. And then in the wake of that, the Beaumardys come in and they kidnap all of the Evermores that they can. They sell them off in an auction to the highest bidder, and they are their slaves. And it's a little bit more sinister than that, and it gets very dark, because they're not just selling them as like a war prize, it's also to siphon magic off of them. That's a little bit spoilery, but you kind of learn that towards the beginning. So essentially, they're like a bank of power that they're siphoning off of. And one of the things with heart and mind magic is if you siphon too much, you can become a husk, which means your magical abilities are gone and they may never return. They could return, but it's never guaranteed, and so it's extremely dangerous. So this is a very demoralizing and awful situation. They're also I don't know how to say this delicately. The women are also basically like a Handmaid's Tale, they are that man's property and he can do whatever he wants with them, regardless of the women's choice, feelings about it, whatever, SA, is absolutely on the table and expected. So there's a very dark premise going on here. Like I said, the story picks up where Rory, her brother, is killed, and she is auctioned off to the highest bidder, and through a series of events, that ends up being Tovin, the son of the Hursts, who's a very prominent rich family that do more heart magic, and they're lethal. They're Beaumardy, and they are some of the most lethal people on the planet. and she is sold to them. So she thinks her life is like over, but she has this like harboring crush on him from school, because to try to have like a peace treaty and to try to get the kingdoms to get along, when she was like 15, she's like 25 now. So when she was like 15, they had the kids go to school together, the Beaumarty and the Evermores. They had them all go to school together, magical school. Sometimes it would be in Beaumont, and sometimes it would be in Evermore. Beaumont is very cold, Evermore is very like hot and tropical. So they would do that. So there are flashbacks you get of them being in school together, which is interesting. And that's something we'll talk about in a little bit of like comparisons with the auction and Rose and Chains. But while it gets dark and deep and scary, I liked the differences in the stories, and I liked how the first book went. So I'm trying not to spoil too much, but also being able to talk about what happened. So she's sold to this family and she thinks she's going to be immediately like taken advantage of and all of these things. And she's not. And she kind of realizes at some point that she's being treated differently than the other lots that were auctioned. And she's not really sure why. And she's also trying to figure out what happened to her friends, what happened to her loved ones. And the story kind of slowly unravels for her, because she's slowly getting more information, slowly interacting more with people, and she's starting to think that there's a lot bigger things afoot, a lot bigger plot points with the evil powers and with the people that are enslaved, the rebels, and if there is a chance to have a rebellion to escape and she just needs to wait it out, or like what it means for her. So there's a lot of stuff like that going on, where there's this evil regime that's taken over, that is in charge, and then a rebellion of a squashed empire, basically, that is still trying to rise up and save the people. With one girl that's imprisoned in this house. My thoughts just on the book itself. I really enjoyed the story. I liked it a lot. I gave it 4.5 stars. I liked the story and the pacing and how it flowed. I thought the magic system was really interesting in the way that they do have a lot of magic and they're magicians, but it's not the same as it was in the fanfiction, obviously. I like how it had flashbacks between present day and in the past. Because it is part one, there is a little bit that feels kind of like missing, but that's understandable. I am upset that I don't have the next book, because I would continue it immediately, and I want to continue it immediately, and I'm upset that I don't have it right now. I would love it right now, but I have to wait, as does everyone else. So I really enjoyed the story. I think I liked the changes she made. I'm just gonna have to talk about the changes now. I really enjoyed the changes that the publisher slash author made to the story. So the flashbacks, granted, I don't remember everything about the auction super vividly, but I don't remember there being flashbacks quite like this. There's a lot of flashbacks, which I feel like really help tie the story together from past to present day. It helps you build more background of the characters, more understanding of the characters and the story. I really enjoyed the flashbacks and thought that that was really well done and added a lot to the story. I liked that how she changed things here and there with the magic, because obviously if you're coming from a Harry Potter fan fiction, you have to do something, but also there's elements in there that are there for a reason. I really liked the changes in the magic. They have a lot of interesting things with the mind magic and the heart magic and the familiars. There's a lot of familiars with animals, which is really cool. And the different things with like siphoning magic with familiars or a person or the bonds. Like there was a lot of interesting stuff with the magic that I enjoyed. I liked the characters. I like how the characters were changed a little bit, how the storylines connecting the characters changed. Like Rory is her brother instead of it being Harry Potter, her best friend. The way she changes that, I liked the changes. I thought they were done well. I thought they made sense. I liked how, for everyone that has read the fan fiction, there's parts that are going to take you by surprise because it doesn't follow the exact storyline or the exact twists. So I did really enjoy that. So there's things you're not expecting that happen, or there's things that you're like, oh, now it's this part, but something else happens. And I liked that. I thought that was good, but also kind of necessary, because how do you sell this story to people that have never read it and the ones that have before, like the auction? So I think the author and the publishers balanced that really well and handled that really well. Also, the darker elements of the story, so essay, all that stuff, like there is some of that still present. There's a lot of it still present because it's very relevant to the story and important for the plot. But there's a lot of things that she changed that I appreciated, because the original one was really hard for me to stomach and it was very upsetting. I think the auction was harder for me to stomach than Manacled, which most people don't agree with, but I do. I do think that. And she twisted some of those elements in here, at least for the first book, where, again, I was expecting it to go one way, it didn't. And I liked that. I liked the changes that were made. It made it more manageable. It just made it a lot easier to consume and to stomach and not be absolutely horrified. So there are a lot of changes and elements that I actually really enjoyed and appreciated, and there's even I don't want this to be a spoiler, so I'm trying to I will tell you because there are familiars and that's important to the story, that there is mentions of a possible dragon. I'm just saying. And I got almost really far into the book, maybe an hour left of the audiobook, and I was like, is there gonna be any hint of them getting together? I'm sorry if this is a spoiler, but there is a little bit of payoff of that. It's slow burn, but there's a little bit of payoff of that beginning. So just know that if you read the whole book and you're like, where is it? It is coming, but it's not going to develop, I don't think, until the second book. So just know that going into it. It's going to be very slow burn. Very, very slow burn. It's not going to be immediate. But I'm very much looking forward to reading book 2, and I love this story so far, and I loved the story when I read it back then, but I like the changes a lot that have been made, and it's intriguing because it feels newer. It feels like, even though I'm familiar with the story and I can see some of the patterns, it's also a new story. It's a new way it's being written. There's new plot lines, a new storyline in a lot of different ways. So I'm very excited to continue the series, and I loved it so far. Julie Soto and NetGalley, thank you so much for this audio arc. I enjoyed it a lot. The narrator also did a good job of doing a female and a male voice and making Bryony scared or shrill or whiny or calm. Her voice is very calming. So I really enjoyed it. Very much looking forward to continuing the series. If you guys pick this up, I would love to know your thoughts on it. Or if you've read the auction and you've read this one as well, let me know. I would love to talk about comparisons and details. But those are my thoughts and rambles and review that's trying to be not spoilery of Rose in Chains by Julie Soto. That is it for today's video. Please like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you next time. Stay safe and caffeinated. Bye.